Hello guys and welcome back to Mystery Lake. Today I'm here to present you a very unique deck, pretty much as the Typhlosion that you've seen some week ago. If you have not seen that video, those videos actually, make sure to go and check them out. So that this doesn't happen again, you might as well follow the channel, leave a like. Follow the channel, subscribe to the channel so that you are constantly up to date to whatever we post. So, as I was saying, this deck is pretty unique because I bet that none of you has ever seen as this baby Zoroark in play. This came out with the team up expansion, but of course it has not seen that much play so far, and I doubt that it will be seen that much more in the future. Because this deck has Zoroark has several problems, has several issues, but we are going to cover them as we go through the video. So basically, this is our main attacker, the Zoroark. With a Night Punishment attack, it can deal 20 damage for each Pokemon in our discard pile, up to a total of 200 damages, which is a lot. 200 damages is indeed a lot, but this is the main negative aspect of this Pokemon, which is at the cost of this attack. In fact, in order to do that, in order to attack, you need one dark energy and two and one double colorless, at least. And this is a lot of energy. It's quite a lot of energies to just do potentially even zero damages if we don't have any Pokemon in the discard pile. It might seem that it has several things in common with the Nuzzle March, or Lost March, or whatever, however you want to call it, and that is because it does. Except that there are a lot of items that support the idea behind the Lost March, so that it allows you to put more and more Pokemon into the Lost Zone. One over everyone is the Skiplam itself. Its abilities is amazing in order to put two Pokemons into the Lost Zone. But we have also the Lost Blender, the Trumbic, and so on and so forth. Whereas we don't have the same kind of support for the Zoroark to put the Pokemons into our discard pile. Of course, we have the Ultra Ball that does that, and we have the Aggro Bike that might do that, but still, it's just less support. Um, what do we do? So, why we're playing with the Shedinja? Well, this is of course due to this Vessel of Life ability. Basically, whenever we evolve this Pokemon, we evolve the Nincada into the Shedinja. We might use, of course, once during our turn, we might use the Vessel of Life ability that allows us basically to attach this Pokemon to another, just as a Pokemon tool. And whenever that Pokemon is knocked out, our opponents take one prize card less, which means that if you are attacking, given that we are playing no GXs, if we attached it to anyone in this deck and those Pokemon and that Pokemon is knocked out, our opponent will not get any prize, which is not bad. First of all, as it is, it's not bad as an effect as it is. But the more important thing is that it allows us to discard the Shedinja. No, sorry. It allows us to discard the Nincada, so putting one Pokemon more into the discard pile. Also, whenever one of our Pokemon, for example, a Zoroark, gets knocked out while he has the Shedinja sign, our opponent does not take any prize, and we got 3 more Pokemons into the discard pile, so 60 more damage, which is not bad, of course. So the idea basically is to, in fact, we are playing for Zoroark, and for Nincada and for Shedinja, because the idea would be that of assigning a Shedinja to each Zorua or Zoroark or whatever. And that would be the main idea of the deck, so that our opponents cannot take any prize, and we constantly boost our damage up. The Emolga is used to basically have this for the same reason that is used in the Lazzle March, which is basically to get more Pokemon into the discard pile that we can eventually discard with Ultra Ball, or even without getting them into our end, we can discard them with the Aggro Bike if we find it among the 2 cards that we can see. The Jirachi are here just to try and give more consistency to this deck, as we'd always need actually several prizes, several supporters, or Ultra Balls, or Energy Recycler, So we need a lot of either items or support, and the Jirachi can help a lot in gathering them. So this is pretty much the idea about the Pokemons. The Zoroark is the only attacker that we have, and it can deal up to 200 damage that can be boosted in several ways, either with a Choice Band if we are against the GXs, or with the Devourer Field if we are against not GXs. So the highest amount of damage it can deal is 240 damage, which is exactly enough, precisely enough to take down the likes of Picaro, for example. Which is why this deck is not that bad. I mean, it's kind of just a bit too slow in order to get the thing going. But other than that, if you manage to get the strategy going, then it's a pretty good deck. Because basically our opponents cannot take any prize while we do. So it's pretty valid. We are playing 2 aggro bike to make the the deck a little bit faster, and also in case we have a bit of luck, be able to discard one extra Pokemon, whether it's a Zorua or pretty much any other Pokemon. We will see why we don't mind too much discarding a Zorua, especially in the early turns. The Energy Recycler and the Energy Loto are both needed because, as I said, it takes a lot of energies to attack with its Zoroark. So we can use the Energy Loto, for example, when we don't have any energies, or whenever we need a double colorless specifically, we can use the Energy Loto and while hoping to get one. But more importantly, we need the energy recycler because, as I said, Zoroark is our only attacker and he needs 3 energy. So when we lose one Zoroark, we might lose a lot of energies. We might even lose 3 dark energies and we are playing only 5. But more importantly, we will need any way to assign them back to another Zoroark. So we need a constant recycle of energies. And what does that better than an actual energy recycler? I used to play another card, the one that gives you the chance. I don't remember the name now, but it allows you to have the choice of either taking the energy back from the discard pile back into the deck, or to shuffle 3 energies into the deck. And while that is fairly useful, it allows you just to shuffle 3 energy back into the deck. While with this, we can shuffle 5. So we are playing the Pokemon Communication because we have 21 Pokemon in our deck, so we might end up using the Emolga abilities in combination with this card to get ourselves, for example, a Zorua or a Zoroark or a Shedinja if maybe we have an Inkada and a Zoroark without any item attached to it. So it's a pretty consistent card that also gives consistency, considering that we have 21 Pokemon. So which is a pretty high amount of Pokemon. That's basically what I'm saying. The switch card is used in order to mostly, I would say, put the Zoroark out of danger. Because whenever we attack with the Zoroark, for example, if we are able to attack with the Zoroark, then we don't want to lose it. So we might want to switch even one Zoroark to another Zoroark, or even a Zoroark to a Jirachi, for example, so that we can use the Stellar Wish ability. And in case our opponents knock someone out, it would be a Jirachi and not a Zoroark, because we do rely a lot on the Zoroark. So as much as we can protect them, we should. The Ultra Ball, of course, is a pretty, really useful card in this deck because not only it lets us search the deck for a Pokemon that we need, but it also allows us to discard two cards from our end. And most of the time, we are going to hope to have at least 2 Pokemon that we can discard in order to boost our damages up. The Black Market Prism Stars is a wonderful stadium card that came out with Team Up. And basically it does the same thing as the Shedinja, except that this happens just to dark Pokemon who have at least a dark energy attached. And it basically causes your opponent to take 1 prize less whenever knocking them out. It's the same idea. It's the same idea as the Shedinja. The Devourer Field is pretty powerful card as well. So first of all, as I've said multiple times in these videos, having multiple stadiums helps a lot because nowadays every deck is playing at least 1 or even more stadium cards, especially the prism star stadium, just as the Black Market or the Thunder Mountain or the Wondrous Labyrinth or the Heat Factory. So there are many, and whenever those cards get in play, you really want to discard them as fast as possible. So having two stadiums cards might even be not enough. We might even have to want to add one more, and of course it would be another Devourer field, just to boost our the damage of the attacks of our dark Pokemon by 10 by 10, so that they do 10 more damage. And that's why I said that the maximum amount of damage that a Zoroark can deal to a GX is 240, because it would be 210 with the Devourer field plus 30 with the Choice Band. The supporters are fairly unique. We have the regular ones, so we have 3 Cynthia, 2 Erika's Hospitality, 2 Goodsman, 3 Lily, which basically gives us 8 draw support and 2 Goodsmas. But what makes them unique is the Brock's Grid, and the Nanu. So we'll go through one of them, each of them one at a time. So the Brock's Grid allow us to shuffle 6 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energies from our discard pile into our deck, and the idea is basically the same as the Energy Recycler. So it's the idea is to put more cards, to recycle energies by putting them into our deck. But the fact that it allows us to put even more Pokemon back in from the discard pile into our deck, even it might sound as something that goes against us, given that we need Pokemon in the discard pile, we also need Pokemon to attack with. And when we lose 2 or 3 Zoroark, we might have one prized, for example, and we might basically lose all the attackers we have. So we will need, in that case, to use the Brock's Grid to get ourselves the Zoroark back, the Zoroark or Zoroarks, depending on how many we have lost, to get them back into the deck and eventually find them by drawing or with the Ultra Ball or whatever. Of course, you need to pay a little bit of attention when using this card, and you need to take care that you are not taking back too many Pokemon from the discard pile. Um, so you need to do a little bit of math, because you need to take some Pokemons, but not that many, so that you cannot get the KO on your opponent's active Pokemon at that moment. But it's so even so, it's a pretty powerful card in this deck. We really need it, because we really need to have the Zoroark in the decks as well as the energies. The Nano is a very interesting one. You can choose a basic dark Pokemon in our discard pile and put it into the and switch it with one of your Pokemon of our Pokemon in play, which means that if we have, so this even solved the issue with that we might have, for example, with the Emolga, that after we've used the Nuzlocke Gathering a couple of times, we have no more Emolgas in the deck, and we have one stuck in the bench or whatever, well, in the bench, yeah. This solves this problem, because we can take basically a dark Pokemon, a dark basic Pokemon from the discard pile and switch it with the Emolga itself, which is amazing. And that does also connect to the fact that I said at the beginning, to what I said at the beginning, that we don't mind too much discarding one Zorua especially in the early turns, because we might always get it back with the Nanu. So, if we discard the Zorua, for example, because we have already a Nanu and an Amolga, for example, we can discard it with Ultra Ball to get whatever else we need at the moment, and then do a couple of Nuzlocke Gathering, well, 2 Nuzlocke Gathering, or even 1 if we have one of the Amolga in the prizes, and then use the Nanu to get our Zorua back. So it's a pretty interesting card in this deck. I think this deck is pretty much the only deck in which you could play this one. I'm not sure, but I feel that this might be the only place for this Nano. But here it finds good use, so we are playing it. For the items, we have just 2 escape board that are literally for the 2 Jirachis, and the 2 choice bands to boost the damage of the Zoroark, so that he is able to take KOs over some big high HP GXs. As far as the energy goes, we have 5 dark energies and 4 double colors, which are of course needed for the Zoroark to attack. So this is it. This is the deck. We have a lot of different cards, considering that in fact to show them we are not even be able we are not even able to show them all in one window. But that is because this deck really needs a lot of things to move on to get the strategy going, and it is also the reason why it is not, of course, a competitive deck, because given that it relies on having too many things always in hand, it basically it can chances are that it will fail in doing so. It will fail in having all the cards that you need at the right moment at the right time. The Jirachi helps in doing this, in fixing this situation, but it helps just a bit. It doesn't help enough. I don't know what would help enough. Maybe a Tabulela GX in order to get a supporter when we need it. But still, the main issue it keeps still is the cost of the Zoroark attack. So as I've done multiple as I've said before, this deck can be compared to the Nuzzle March. Um, and the main difference between this deck and the Nuzzle March is the amount of energy needed to attack to do the Lost March attack, which is one, whether it's a double colorless for the Natu or a grass energy for the Jumpluff. So it can just do the same thing that this deck does, much better, because it can deal even more damages and in an easier way, which is the main thing to notice. So yeah, I'm still going to present you this deck and then test it in the upcoming videos, because I do believe that showing something different from time to time is a very healthy thing. But still, if you had to choose a non GX deck to play, I would still go with the Nuzlocke over the Baby Zorak here. Unless you do love dark type Pokemon, in that case, go ahead and play this one, because it's actually a very cool card. Even the artwork is not that bad. And of course, it's much cheaper compared to the one using the other Zorak, the Zorak GX. That is a very expensive deck, even both in the real life and on the online one. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. To leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to check out our other profiles, you can find a link in the description for the Twitter one and as well for the Twitch channel. Make sure to follow those up as well. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.